All right, we're going to work on worksheet 1.4, 1.5 on angle relationships and some algebra. This first section, we're going to use cubics to think through this problem, looking at these three diagrams. It says use cubics to complete the following problems. Identify the kind of angle relationship of angle ABD and DBC have. Whether they're supplementary, remember that 180 degrees, complementary is 90 degrees, and a linear pair is really two angles that are next to each other on a straight line. We will find x and the measure of ABD and the measure of DBC. So we have lots of stuff to do here. In the first picture, notice that you have the straight line. This goes all the way across. We have these two angles together. So we have a couple things going on. We have supplementary angles. Because they are a linear pair. So both things happening. Because of that, it equals 180 degrees. So we will take our two angles in the diagram, 4x plus 6 and 11x minus 6, add them together, equal it up to 180 degrees. In this case, the 6's cancel out. They add to 0. 4 plus 11 is 15x, and that equals 180. Dividing both sides by 15, we get x to equal 12. And if I slide my diagram up just a little bit, I can see that I have a box here for the measure of the angles. The measure of angle ABD is this one. So I'm going to plug my 12 in there. 4 times 12 plus 6. And DBC is the other side. I can plug my 12 in there. 11 times 12 minus 6. Calculate those two numbers and put them on the blank. Real quick, looking at question 2, notice that you do have 90 degrees on the right-hand side, so we are talking just about the two angles on the left. So those two will only add up to 90. And then when we look at question 3, again, we're back to two angles and the straight line all the way across. Question 3 will look a lot like question 1. If you skip ahead to page 2, we have questions 16, 17, 18, and 19. With those two diagrams, it says what kind of special angle pair is shown? Write the equation that would be used to solve for x. Do not solve. So we are just going to be setting that up. The difference between the two different diagrams is that in question 16 and 17, the line goes all the way across. And in question 18 and 19, you notice that you only have half of that picture. So for question 16, the special angle pair, there are two of them that go all the way across. Those are supplementary angles. And you can also consider them a linear pair. In that case, they add up to 180 degrees. So we take the first angle, 2x plus 1, add it to the second angle, 3x minus 31, these two parts right here, and equal it to 180. When we're looking at question 18 and 19, again, we only have half of the angle with the box in the middle. That means they are complementary angles, and in this case, complementary only adds up to 90 degrees. So we have 7x plus 8 plus 6x plus 17 equal to 90 degrees. For questions 30 and 32, now we're specifically using the ideas of linear pairs and vertical angles. When you think of those kind of angles, remember linear pair is 180 degrees always. Vertical angles are always equal to each other. linear pair make a straight line. Vertical angles are the angles that point at each other. They're across from each other. So if we look at question 30, the first thing that I notice is that we have both x's and y's. Whenever you have two different variables, you try to group them. So in this case, I would try to do something with the x's together. And if I look at the two x numbers, I notice that they're across from each other. They are what we call the vertical angles. So I know that 3x plus 7 will equal 5x minus 35 because they are vertical angles. Do that math. I will add 35 to both sides. I like to add whenever possible. 3x plus 42 is equal to 5x. That means that I have to take the 3x and move it back to the other side. So I will minus 3x to both sides. 42 is equal to 2x. Divide by 2. So x is equal to 21. Then when I look at the y's, I also know that they point at each other. And so I will do the same with the y's. 3y plus 5 equal to y plus 75. And I'll let you work that one out. Question 32 is slightly different. I notice that I have two x expression and only one y expression. So I tried to do something with the x's together. And I notice that now they are next to each other on a straight line instead of across from each other. So these are the linear pair. So I will add the two angles together, 6x plus 15x plus 75, and equal it to 180 degrees. Adding like terms, 6 and 15 make 21x. Minusing 75 to both sides. 21x is equal to 105. Divide by 21. And I get x equals 5. Now when I want to go back and find y, I notice that there's just one of them. So in this case, we're going to use this 5. We're going to take it and plug it back into the problem. If x is equal to 5, I know that this angle is 6 times 5. It must be 30 degrees. And if that's 30 degrees, I know this side must be 150 degrees because they are next to each other. They are a linear pair. So this equation is just 3y equals 150. 5 by 3's. And y equals 50. The two equations depended on each other, but when we plug the 5 back in, the y equation turned out to be pretty fast and easy. Now skipping ahead to the last page, we're specifically going to be working on questions 34 and 36. The difference in these two questions are the words complementary and supplementary. As soon as we see those words, we're thinking complementary and the number 90, supplementary, the number 180. So they give us two angles. We know that they're complementary to each other. So that simply means that when we add them together, it will equal 90 degrees. You will end up solving that equation. Adding like terms, 2x and 1x equals 3x. Adding 75 to both sides. So we get 3x equals 165. Dividing by 3, and it turns out that x equals 55. The question does ask us to find the measure of A and B, so we take that 55 and we plug it back in to the two parts, and it turns out that angle A is just x, 55, and angle B would be 35. Both adding up to 90. When you get to question 36, the only difference is now that we have supplementary. So instead of equaling it to 90, it will equal to 180. If you do want to save a little time, you can add those together before you write them out. X plus x gives you 2x. And 50 plus 100 equals 150. That will simplify your equation a little bit. I'm going to leave the rest for you. You're going to end up solving these. And then you will end up plugging them back into the two measures because you need angle A equal to an answer and angle B equal to the other answer. Remembering that those two angles will add up to be 180 degrees. Good luck!